I could get started here. So yeah, as Dwayne was saying, it's myself and Lawrence take care of most of the fence stuff. So if you do have a question on the fence stuff, most likely you'll get talking to one of us here. There is also the Dwayne team in there, Dwayne Bowman, which is up there right now, as well as Dwayne Fry. And they look after the Gale Manitou stuff and the hay tools, and also help out with the Massey, some of the tractor, the fence stuff as well, a little bit as it's needed. And then we have Alan as well. He does the combines, planters, sprayers, CUE stuff. And if you have some technical precision ag questions, you'll likely get put through to Alan. So amongst all of us in there, we try to help each other out. It can be a bit of a circus sometimes, but we do try to get everyone looked after. So do you want to tell us about the shop side of it, Lawrence, what we got going on there?
Sure. Can you hear me now, Dwayne?
I can hear you. Yep, go ahead.
Perfect. Boy, this is exciting. I've got Brent here beside me, and we're all fed up here after lunch, and I hope everybody's excited as I am. But anyways, talking about service here again, Brent's given us a lot of ups and downs here on the way things work around here already. But I do have one important question for Brent. We need to start with the important things first. Are you married?
Not that I know of.
Girlfriend?
No.
Okay, I'll stop there. But what that tells me is
No
this man,
plans, even though it's Valentine's. Go on.
that tells me this guy's dedicated. And I think really, with no strings attached, fully dedicated to Maple Lane and the brand here, he's your man. So, as far as what we do here in the shop, yeah, we're dealing with growth like we always have. Every year since I work here, we have not had enough techs in the shop. So then we get more techs and we try to keep up, but we find that we can't, so we get more techs and so on. So it's a vicious circle, but it's also kind of exciting to always be on the growth spurt. So yeah, right now, I don't know, we have around 17, 18, I'm not sure how many techs, 20, and 7 or 8 trucks, service trucks, and more coming. As far as service trucks are concerned, we have those for the easier things on the farm, but we are doing more on the farm than what we have in the past. We have this loop truck and we're getting a bigger loop truck, and we like to do services on the farm, but it does depend on what the work situation is here at the shop. Sometimes we're plugged up, like right now, we're plugged up in the shop. Everybody has their tractor here, it seems, or their machine. So then we thought maybe time on the road. But then when spring rush comes around, the shop will be empty and the trucks will be busy. So we might encourage to bring in, at that time or however, but it's just working together is all it is. And we're at a place here, I don't know if it's been mentioned, but we're at a place here where we're working at expansion again. And we're hoping that we can serve you better going forward. And if there's anybody knows of young techs anywhere, yeah, this is a great place to work, and always looking for mechanics here, it seems. Brent, did you want to give us the ins and outs in the Gold Star thing?
Sure. So as you are all aware, if you've bought a Fendt tractor, then I'm sure the sales guy told you about the Gold Star that's on it. So the standard is the 3-year, 3,000-hour warranty and service included. You may have also gotten the 5-year, 5,000-hour. There's different options there. They all have 5-year emissions warranty. And so the services will look after those for you. We usually like to see them within 150 hours of your regular servicing. There's the initial 50-hour service, but then after that, the 500, 1,000, 2,500, 1,500, whatever, so on. And we can do those on the farm or here, as Lawrence was saying. If it's the 2,000, it's the full service with all the fluids, so it is a little more work. We can do it on the farm if we need to. We would prefer to have it in the shop, but we'll sort that out with you on a individual basis, probably whichever tractor. If you all of a sudden have a few, then obviously we'd need to spend more than a day there. But that is something that we will do. It's part of it. So there's no need for you to change your own oil at the start there. I think with the Gold Star, there's also the loaner program, and you know that better than I do, Lawrence. Why don't you?
There's not much involved with the loaner program. It's the same as the Gold Star program. You'll know what it is if you own a Fendt or if you bought a Fendt. If there's a breakdown and we can't get up and running within 48 working hours, and we owe you a loaner. And keep in mind that we maybe can't match exactly what you have. And the tricky part always comes in if there's specialty equipment like front PDO or front hitch and stuff, like options like that. But hopefully we can get some kind of a solution together that works for you. And then it's important that we contact you for hours and that sort of thing as you go along, because it's totally authorized by ECO. And one thing that I want to mention is having your insurance information before we put out a loaner is of absolute necessity now. So if there's no insurance information, there's also no reimbursement. So we will do our absolute best to remember to ask for insurance information before we send out a loaner, just so you know. I think that's all on the loaner. And then you had something in the last warranty, maybe?
Yes, so for the last warranty check, we usually like to do a bit more of a thorough going over to make sure there's nothing pending on the machine that should be looked at before it's off warranty. Normally, people prefer to have that done while it's on warranty rather than paying for it themselves. So we could do that on the farm, but it'll probably be in your best interest to have that done here. We will do a dyno test and a little more in-depth check on it if it's actually at the shop here versus just doing it on the road. We can only do so much. And then also if we do find stuff, then we'll likely need to go back with parts and so on. So it's not like we can't do it on the road, but it'll be to your advantage to bring it to the shop here. And I did forget to mention the annual service with the Gold Star too. If you do have a unit that you're not getting 500 hours a year on, and then it won't necessarily, or we won't see the notification on Fendt Connect that it's due for a service. So it'll be up to you to let us know if it's been more than a year since we've been there to service it. And then you can get what they call the annual service. We'll change the engine oil and some of the other filters for you as part of the Gold Star as well. They do cover that for an annual service if you're not getting your hours in. I think with that, we'll talk about the oils that get used in here if you want to do some of your own top-ups or change your oils.
So we always talk about the oil situation every year because it is important, especially on these warranty tractors. It is also important on off warranty tractors. And here, I mean, some of you have heard it before, but if there's new operators out there, we need to talk about it again. 1540 is our good old engine oil that we've used on pre-DEF fluid tractors, which is like 2011 and older. That's a 250-hour interval oil. Not much of it gets used these days anymore, but here's our later model tractor oil. So this is a Deutz 10W40 synthetic, and it's engineered for the Deutz tractors, or Deutz engines, sorry. And then we have the latest oil, which is a 10W40 man spec. And obviously the 1000 series and the 900 series have man engines, and then the 700 Gen 7 and the 300 now have Sisu engines or EcoPower engines, and they're wanting us to use this oil as well. So this is going to be a popular oil going forward. You should always have a pail of oil or, somewhere just for top up or spare in case something happens. And as I was reminded before lunch, you can't mix these two together or put the wrong oil in your Fendt tractor because they don't run on other brands. And thanks for the reminder they're L1. And then here we have our transmission oil. These have special transmissions and they have special transmission oil. 821 extended life is what we use, and that's a 2,000-hour interval oil. The older predecessor oil was a 1,000-hour interval, but this is a higher spec and we're changing it every 2,000 hours. So the first really big service is at 2,000 hours. I think that's all that there is on oil, and then we want to have a look at this beautiful tractor here.
Yes. So as far as filling points on here, the transmission is back here, like it's always been. And that there one is something that you likely won't have to touch a lot. The most common problem we have with this fill port back here is guys are used to some of the other colors. You dump the oil in the back and you expect the gauge to go up, but then you catch on after about 2 pails that nothing's happening. So the transmission oil is separate from the hydraulic oil on these, on any of these Fendt tractors. So keep that in mind. Don't put the hydraulic oil in here. We will show you in a bit where to put that. This is strictly the transmission. On the back here, we've got your power beyond couplers, the pressure, the load sense, the return, case drain, all of those. If you need them, the glad hands are there, the isobus. And there's one other thing I was going to mention as well that I had thought of. And some of these tractors, this one doesn't have it, but they have a little tap back here somewhere for your 3-point hitch lockout. And if you're, say you're getting a harness in the cab or something, you bump that tap and then you can't run your 3-point hitch, then you call in for service and then we tell you to move that tap back and then it works again. It's just a little note. You might not catch on when you move it and then it's a lockout, so you won't be able to unlock your 3-point or anything like that. The trailer brakes are also important. Do you want to talk about that, Lawrence?
Sure. I think most of us know that like trailer brakes are important, whether they're hydraulic trailer brakes or air trailer brake. They're both, they're needed when you're pulling loads. We do a lot of brake jobs here at the shop, and sometimes it's simply due to negligence. So yeah, just important to make sure that the trailer has brakes, but not only that, that they're adjusted and serviced properly. Sometimes everybody knows that, yeah, their brakes are there, it's all good, but they're actually not working. So we just need to realize that brakes are needed and they have to work and have to be checked from time to time. Want to carry on with the...
Well, you're the transmission expert, Lawrence, so why don't you inform us yet about the manual range there?
Right. So here we have a red lever on this Gen Sound 700. And if it's a 900 or 1000 series, it'll be a black knob in this area here. And that's simply to put the transmission at a mechanical neutral. And the only time we do that is if we have a breakdown and we're wanting to tow it or something, move it out of the way. We take that lever and yank it back to put the transmission in a mechanical neutral. And at that point, it's ready to pull, but keep in mind, we don't like to go faster than 5 kilometers or 5 miles an hour and 5 miles total. Evens, and then if it's, let's say the engine's not running, these have a steering pump hooked up to this forward drive shaft. So you should have steering when you're towing, but you might have brakes locked up. On this particular tractor here, there's a little pump here on the back end. When there's a little tube thingy in the toolbox that you put in there to pump that up to release the brakes. But every tractor is different with the range shift and the transmission mechanical neutral thing and the towing thing. So you'll be on the phone. If there's a problem, you'll be on the phone. We'll try to direct you in the right direction, but it's just simply nothing more than an awareness to not do anything foolish, because it's pretty easy to make mistakes and it's not worth that effort. Okay, Brent, your turn.
All right. On the hydraulic fill level, this one has the toolbox in the way, but there's a fill cap back here that you can go into. Some of them, all the newer ones will be somewhere on the side here. That's for your hydraulic oil level, and then it shows the level in the dash. So yeah, the biggest thing here is to keep the hydraulic oil separate from the transmission oil. If you run it low on oil, top it up here, not on the back. For boosting, I believe the battery is there. You want to go ahead, Lawrence?
Yeah, well, this is a basic one. It's a 12-volt system, EcoPower engine, 12-volt starting system. So you got your positive and your ground. That's pretty simple. But if it's a 900 or 1000 series, then it's 24 volt. So it's also the batteries here and a couple of hookup ports for your booster cables. You really need 2 sets of booster cables to do a 24 volt, to do a proper 24 volt boost. If you just do 1 set of booster cables, you're not going to get much of a reaction. So just something to bear in mind. If you think the boost isn't working, you do need 2 sets if it's a 24 volt system, which at this point it's just a 900 and 1000 series that have that system. On this tractor, there's a toolbox here. They all have a toolbox somewhere that looks like this, where you find stuff in like the PTO shaft, the extra PTO shaft, and if it's the old style with a lever through the floor, it'll be in there. This is for the pump in the back for the brakes. If it has a block heater cord, it'll be in there. But there's some certain items in there that are kind of important to know, but hopefully don't need too much. Brent?
Alrighty. As far as topping up or the engine oil, it's where you would traditionally find it on the side of the engine. So it's a good practice. I mean, these are new tractors. There shouldn't be any issues, but unfortunately, we can't come out to the farm every morning to check your oil level for you. So that is something that we would ask you to do. Just keep an eye on the levels a little bit. It's not something you need to do every hour or anything like that, but just keep a bit of an eye on the levels in general. The fuel and the DEF, we sometimes run into issues there. It's good for part sales and so on, but not really good for the customer. Do you have any more comments on that, Lawrence?
Not exactly, other than I'm in full agreement. I mean, it's not us that have to pay those bills if that mistake gets made, but I do remember one tractor in particular where the guy took delivery, it was brand new. He filled it up for the first time and he put the fuel nozzle into the DEF nozzle in the fuel tank. It just totally disintegrated his whole fuel injection system. So that was a very sad day for somebody. So everybody knows what DEF fluid is these days. Earlier years, we had to talk about it. It was something new, but these days, I think we know where it's at. And while we're on right standing here, there should be a block heater plug here, which is not here. We have to point to the sales guys or whoever ordered this tractor. But yeah, normally there'd be a block heater cord here and there'd be an extension cord in the toolbox, like 6 feet long to go to your outlet. So I think there's some things that Brent wants to show you in the cab.
We'll just turn the key on here, let it power up. So the one common question we would get is on error codes. Where do we see those? I mean, if there is an actual error, it'll pop up on the screen and you won't be able to miss it. But if you had an issue and you call in later and it's not there anymore, there's a very easy way to find those, and that's simply swipe down from the top. We do have a few stored in here so that we can see what that looks like, but it can be anywhere. It doesn't matter what screen we're in. We swipe down from the top. That's where they are, and then the error code that you want to give us will be this description here, and most likely we will be able to see these on FendtConnect as well if you call in and let us know. But sometimes if you're sitting there with an active error, it won't have activated yet on our end, and then you'll have to give us that number there. If we want to clear them, we simply hit the trash can. I'm not going to do that, or else it won't be here for us to show the next group. But that's where you would get rid of those. So that's a very easy way to find them. You can also go into your service menu. They would be under the bell there, but it's easier to swipe from the top. And in here, there's the calibrations like Ryan or Leon, someone was showing us those earlier today. Another thing, here we have our DPF loading. So if you're having regen issues, this is where you would go in to do that. Obviously this one's fine. So once you'd actually have an issue, this here would light up. You'd be able to do a stationary regen, but for the most part, that'll just be on the service. We'll do that as part of the service when we're out there before we change the oil. So if everything's working like it should, then you won't have any issues there. Our service counter is in here, so that shows us how many hours till the next service and when it was done last. We can set our own service counters here too if we want to, but we do need the laptop to be able to reset the ones here. So you can't just keep pushing off your services. And if it's a new tractor on warranty, I mean, you want it done because you've paid for it when you bought the tractor, we may as well do it. The coolant level it shows a check mark on this one. They're not all the same. Some of the smaller ones don't have anything in here. Some of them, like the 900s and 1000s, actually have a percentage there for your coolant. This one doesn't have that. It's fine in here. The hydraulic oil level is in the corner of the dash. So that's what you look at. If you pour the oil into the side, you can see the fill cap nicely there on the side from here. You point the camera over there. There we go. And then the final thing, which was mentioned before already, is that battery disconnect on the side. So if we have to have the key turned off, and then you can just hit this button, the red light will blink, and it's going to keep blinking. And I know that they had said it'll be about 2 minutes. That would be on a good day. It depends if there's still GPS stuff that's powered up. On some of them, we're seeing 15 minutes or so before that light actually quits blinking. But it is not a bad habit to do that. And if you do call in with some random code that you had, and then probably one of the first things we're going to ask is, did you do a battery disconnect? And if you haven't, then we'll probably get you to do that, and it just might fix the problem. So it is definitely worth a try. If you do have a random code come up, just do that cycle, try it again, and it might snap it out of it. I think that's all I really had in here. We'll give it back to Lawrence.
Okay, we'll walk over to the exhaust side of the tractor. So just we've had some significantly bad accidents over the years, and usually, not always, but usually it's an operator thing. So just bear in mind that these tractors are really, really smart, but you're still the operator. So, I mean, keep this safe stopping distances are needed. You put the clutch in on these, it'll roll down a hill, same as any other conventional tractor. So you simply have to, common sense is the main thing. But we've also had a couple that have burned off for unfortunately, and there again, it's hard to define exactly what started where and when and so on, but too many times it is due to negligence and straw being in the area of between the cab and the exhaust. And just a reminder to keep that clean because it does get really hot in there. So just blow it out or wash it out or whatever from time to time. Keep an eye on it. Now, I don't know, did we cover everything or is there more things that we missed?
I think it's pretty much, yeah, keep it greased. If you got a loader on there, obviously you don't want to go 500 hours between greasing it. So just do some of that stuff. And the better you take care of it, the better it's probably going to take care of you. So I would say that's about all that we have.